I have 8 nicknames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nicknames and 3 real names. 11 names? How did I get 11 names? When I was younger, my mother said that as a baby in the hospital, she held me and looked at my eyes, and my eyes were squeezed shut tightly like an old cartoon character that you kids will never know. Maybe you will, who knows, called Mr. Magoo. Mr. Magoo's eyes were closed shut, and my mom said, "Oh, he looks like Mr. Magoo." And my dad said, "But we speak Spanish," because my dad is from Cuba. He says, "¿Cómo se dice Mr. Magoo en español?" How would you say Mr. Magoo in español? Ah, Mr. is el señor Magoo. How would you say Magoo in Spanish? Magoo. So my dad called me el señor Magoo. So before I had a real name, I had 2 nicknames on my first day of life, Mr. Magoo, el señor Magoo. My uncle came to visit us in the hospital. And of course, I don't remember any of this. These are stories my parents told me. And my uncle said, "No, el señor Magoo es demasiado largo. That's too long. I'm just going to call him El Gu." So I had my 3rd nickname, Mr. Magoo, el señor Magoo, El Gu. And then when we were leaving the hospital, they couldn't put those 3 names on my birth certificate. So they gave me Antonio as my first name, which is my dad's first name and my granddad's first name. And you're never going to guess what my great granddad's first name was. Antonio. In Cuban families, at least the Cuban families I know, I'm not Antonio the Fourth because I have a very specific, unique middle name. And my middle name is Bernardo. So my real name is Antonio Bernardo Sacre. That's what's on my driver's license and my birth certificate. And I had the 3 nicknames, Mr. Magoo, El Señor Magoo, El Gu. I was pretty old, about 10 or 11, when I found out why my name Bernardo was Bernardo. One day I said, "Dad, why is my middle name Bernardo?" He said, "Oh, mijito, my best friend from Cuba was a boy named Bernardo. He was an amazing baseball player, and I loved my friend Bernardo. And so I gave you that nickname to remind me of my best friend." I said, "Oh, where's Bernardo now?" "Oh, mijo, he never left Cuba. I never saw him again." And we went on with our day. So I'm named Bernardo after one of my dad's best friends from Cuba. When we got home, my grandmother saw me. She looked at me and she says, "El señor Magoo, Mr. Magoo. No, 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 tú eres mi papito." She called me Papito, which means what a little cutie pie. So I am Papito to my grandmother. 4 nicknames, 3 real names. How many names did I have? If you are older than 4, this is an easy problem. If you are 4, it's 7 names. And then my uncle came to visit me a little after that. And he said, "Oh, mira tu cabeza, un coquito." He said, "Your head looks like a little coconut." So he called me Coquito, little coconut head. So now I had all these nicknames. Mr. Magoo, El Señor Magoo, El Gu, Papito, Coquito, Antonio Bernardo Sacre. 5 nicknames, 3 real names. When I was about 2 years old, I started to run around the house super fast and smash into things all over the place. I had bruises up and down my arms, and my auntie came over and she said, "Oh, parece un futingo. You look like a little futingo." And my mother said, "What's a futingo?" And I said, "What's a futingo?" And my auntie said, "A futinguito is a car that smashes into things and is broken down and can't run anymore. You look like a futinguito." She called me a little broken down car that's smashed up and doesn't run anymore. So now I have my 6th nickname, Futinguito, Mr. Magoo, El Señor Magoo, El Gu, Papito, Coquito, Futingo, Antonio Bernardo Sacre. 9 names. The night before my first day of kindergarten, my dad said, "Oh, mijito, you're going to kindergarten tomorrow." I said, "No, I'm not." He said, "Yes, you are." "No, I'm not." My dad said, "Why not?" I said, "Dad, I'm scared and nervous and I don't want to go." And my dad said, "It's normal, mijito, to be scared and nervous, but it's going to be amazing." What my dad did is he took a bunch of cushions off of the couch and he put them on the floor. He said, "Niño, usa tu imaginación," which means use your imagination. And I said, "Okay, Dad." And I used my imagination. And my dad said, "What do you see?" I said, "A bunch of cushions on the floor." "No, mijo, usa tu imaginación. Use your imagination." And I used my imagination. And he says, "What do you see now, mijito?" And I said, "A bunch of cushions on the floor." "Ay, mijito." He stood in front of the cushions and he stood like a commander And he said, I'm a commander of the sea. Soy un comandante del barco. I'm a commander of this boat. And his legs started to move up and down. And it looked like he was on the sea. I got behind him and my legs started to move up and down. And soon my imagination took over and it felt like we were on the sea. He said, Tú eres el capitán. You're the captain of the boat. I said, Soy el capitán. I'm the captain of the boat. And as we were sailing, I said, ¿Dónde vamos, comandante? Where are we going, commander? And my dad said, we're going to the magical land of kindergarten, where you're going to learn your numbers. And I yelled, numbers. You're going to learn your shapes. Shapes. You're going to learn your letters. Letters. And my dad, as he was going on this big revelry about what I was going to learn in the magical land of kindergarten, a very real, not imaginary mosquito landed on my dad's rear end. When I told the story last week at a school, the girl said, what's a rear end? I said, your butt. So a mosquito landed on my dad's butt and I knew I had to do something about it. I was el capitán, the captain. So I took my hand back, way back. And I went smack right on my dad's butt. He said, ¿Qué está pasando aquí? What's going on, capitán? I said, Papa, mosquito. He said, oh, mosquito, you saved my life, el capitán de los mosquitos. I was the captain of the mosquitoes. And that was my 7th nickname, plus my 3 real names, 10 names before I ever went to school. The next day, I walked to school all by myself. Maybe my dad was not too far away. And when I got to the school building, I got to my classroom and the classroom was just as wonderful as my dad said it was going to be. There was pictures and pictures on the walls and art in the corners and books everywhere. And every kid was just as nervous and as excited as I was. And we all sat down and the teacher, Mrs. Green, she started reading the roll call. I forget the name. She said, Julie Dosher. A kid said, here. She said, Matthew Hammond. Here. She said, Daryl Johnson. Here. She said, Antonio Sacri. Everyone looked around the room, including me. She said, oh, Antonio must not be here. And she checked off the rest of the names and she started to count. Now, wait a minute. Oh, there's one name missing. And that's you, honey. Oh, honey, I think you must be Antonio Sacri. I said, oh, no, I don't think that's my name. She said, oh, well, there must be a mistake. What is your name? I said, well, my name is Mr. Magoo, El Señor Magoo, El Goo, Papito, Coquito, Futingo, Capitán de los Mosquitos, Antonio Bernardo Sacre. She said, oh, honey, you're in kindergarten now. I don't think that's your name. It is. My name is Mr. Magoo, El Señor Magoo, El Goo, Papito, Coquito, Futingo, Capitán de los Mosquitos, Antonio Bernardo Sacre. And all the kids started laughing, so much so that the teacher did what you were allowed to do to children in the 1970s. She sent me to the principal's office. First day of school, and I am marched to the principal's office. I get there, and the principal looks so huge and scary. He said, I understand there's been a problem in kindergarten about your name. What is your name? Well, it's really long. Well, what is it? You're going to laugh. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I'm not. So I said, my name is Mr. Magoo, El Señor Magoo, El Goo, Papito, Coquito, Futingo, Capitán de los Mosquitos, Antonio Bernardo Sacre. And to his credit, he didn't laugh, but his lips kind of went. And then he said, oh my goodness, that is an amazing name. You have to tell me the story of all those names. You want to know the story of all those names? I do. And I did. I told him how my mom said my eyes were squeezed shut like Mr. Magoo. And my dad said, we're going to speak Spanish in my family. So he called me El Señor Magoo. And my uncle said, that's too long. So he called me El Goo. And my grandmother called me Papito because I'm a cutie pie. And my uncle said I'm Coquito because I got a little coconut head. And my cousin called me Futingo because I bounced into things and I was a beat up old car. And last night I smacked my dad's butt and I'm the captain of the mosquitoes. And I'm named Antonio like my dad and my great granddad and my granddad. And Bernardo, I don't know why I'm called Bernardo. And Sacre is my last name. He said 10 names. He said, I'm going to give you one more nickname. One more nickname. And he whispered it in my ear. When I went to my classroom, the teacher said, did you solve the problem of your name? I said, the principal said my name is Mr. Magoo, El Señor Magoo, El Goo, Papito, Coquito, Futingo, Capitán de los Mosquitos, Antonio Bernardo Sacre. And he said, my name is Cool. And she said, well, cool. Welcome to school. And that is the story of my 11 names.